Here we go. Good morning, Mayor Lisa Gillmore, and very happy to have you here. Because most of the time you are on stage and people are in audience. So I was one of your audience once upon a time, and I heard you. And I felt very good about you because you came across as a very real person. And then I thought to myself, she doesn't even know that she is in Silicon Valley and she is holding such an important position that from the worldwide point of view, people just envy and they want to come to Silicon Valley. And here you are just taking care of that patch of world's attraction. And I felt really proud of you at that time. I'm saying it from my heart. And then ever since then, I thought that I will have one-on-one conversation with you. And so I welcome you very warmly on our platform of Global Women Power.
Thank you, Dr. Alka. It's such a pleasure to be here today. I'm feeling very honored to be here and that you even invited me in the first place. So thank you so much in this crazy world that we're in right now. So this is a pleasure to be here, honestly.
Thank you. And I will briefly introduce about my organization. It's Global Women Power, as name indicates. And we are globally active. And our goal is to give empowerment to women, financial freedom, find jobs, training, and get in network with each other. And so it is needed most at this time rather than any other time. So I thought, let's make it active and then talk to people, those who can inspire at this time, because inspiration is the most important thing at this troubled time, like somebody who is there holding the fort and how others can do it too. So keeping that in mind, I will just ask you, in this troubled time with your position, how are you handling community outreach and how are you managing it?
Well, it's been really, really challenging, as you can imagine, and something that nobody ever expected would happen. And people in our community are looking to us and the council members and the mayor as leaders to try to help them really navigate through these treacherous times. And so we've had to keep, and especially me, a really open mind in terms of, the services that we traditionally provide are not, we have to pivot from that because there are certain needs and certain areas we had to get in, like, for instance, just distributing food for children on the weekends and seniors on the weekends, things that are not really in our wheelhouse, but we had to react and we had to react quickly because people can't wait. If they're hungry or they need a place to live or, they're suffering or they need their healthcare needs, we need to at least provide what we can or guide them to the right resources so that they can get the help that they need. So I think that, every day is so different in terms of what's happening in our community. And I think, flexibility and responsiveness have been the most important thing for me. And a lot of things that we want to do as council members and as the mayor, we've had to put on the back burner because those are not priorities anymore. Keeping people, basic needs are priorities and keeping our community healthy.
And there are so many programs which California state is running to help, about mortgage or rental assistance. And on the city level also, you are doing some programs?
Yes, in fact, we've had to really look closely at that, and we've put in I think several $1 million into a rental assistance program. And what I've learned is that I think we're up to maybe 300, maybe 400 individuals and families that we've helped with rental assistance. We found that not only it helps the renters, but it helps the landlords because, and I'm sure it's like this in other communities in the Bay Area. We have landlords that are multi-million-dollar corporations, but most importantly, we have landlords that are little mom and pops that, maybe have bought a house, a second house, or a duplex or something, a small number of units, and that is their actual, they're making a living from that. So when they lose their tenant too, it's or their tenant doesn't pay rent, the landlords, our small landlords, have suffered as well. People that have worked their whole lives to, invest in a property and to, turn around and not receive rent. So we have a wonderful rental assistance program that helps renters and landlords as well. And we just put in our first round, helped I think 200 families in Santa Clara, and our second round we're hoping for another 200. We put another 1.5 million in that. So I think we've had several million to help the needy. One of our challenges is getting the word out that we have these programs available. So we have several programs in Santa Clara that we're working on, and really trying to communicate and get the help out to the people that really need it. That's challenging as well.
So I observed the same phenomena with Fremont also, because I'm on board with Fremont City Resource Center.
Okay.
And one of the meeting, the tagline they said, it is a Fremont City Resource Center is a best kept secret. The same problem what you are saying is,
Yes.
taking the word out and making people aware that city is there to help you.
Yeah, you're 1,000% correct, because I'll tell you what I've learned, at least these last few years, is that the cities are used to a certain level of communication, right? You put out, either, most of it is a low tech way of communicating, and a little bit in high tech, right? Social media is a phenomenon that we are embracing right now, but it's not something that we're used to in government. Certainly in the private sector, yes. So trying to enhance our communication department has been a kind of a struggle, honestly, to get out there, to take the private sector ideals of communication and bring them into the public sector so that we can communicate. Because before, I always talk about the olden days. There was 3 television, well, I'm going to age myself, I'm 100 years old, but 3 television stations, right? You watch, and everybody would get their news from one local paper, and that, well, it's not that way anymore. There's 1,000 different ways that you get your news. And so trying to get your residents that are certainly high tech, but then the low tech ones that they don't know how to get on their computer. They're senior citizens, they may live alone, maybe the only thing they get is the mail. So getting timely information in the mail has been challenging as well. So we're trying to figure out, by texting, by phone calls, by mail, by different levels of social media, figuring out the best way to get to the people that really need the help. And believe me, there's a lot of people, and the longer that this pandemic goes on, the higher the numbers are of people in need. So many people in need, and so many people, doctor, that are very proud people, lots of proud people in our communities that it's hard for them to come out and pick up a food box, or ask for rental assistance or assistance on their utility bills or something like that. And so we're trying to break down that barrier and say, everybody needs help, whether you're rich or you're poor. There's people that need it, and let's throw away those social issues and really help each other. That's what we're trying to do in Santa Clara.
I have a question about, so it's like an ongoing thing, not just because of the starting of the COVID, but we have an interest in helping the homeless as well, connecting them with professionals to find work, help them write their resumes, get them some skills training. So some of them have immigration issues. It's a whole mess of things, or they just need somebody to sit down and talk to and unwind. So I was wondering, how can we help in those fields?
I think that now we've identified even a higher homeless population in the city of Santa Clara now since the pandemic, right? Um, it was, you know, our residents are saying, where did these homeless people come from? We haven't seen them before. Where are they? You know, how come they're all gathering now, and what's going on? Well, I think the problem has always been there. It's just that people in their busy lives weren't noticing that people are so much in need. So I think at this time, we always need that kind of help, always. And we have organizations in our community, like we have a St. Justin's Church, and I know River of Life Church. That we have different churches and organizations that help, you know, with our homeless situation. Our housing department does to a certain extent, right? We rely on the county for housing and other things. We're building uh, residential units for the unhoused, right? Right now in Santa Clara, but there's still such a need for help and outreach and identification. So if you're offering, believe me, we'll take. If you're offering, Nancy, we will certainly try to connect, you know, with the right organizations, because our homeless, our unhoused, we call it unhoused, our unhoused population is rising for
So
sure.
we've been helping people that wanted training in high tech, low tech, and even no tech. So we had a school for training center that networks with us that
Okay.
offers free computer orientation for senior citizens, for example. So
Well, yeah, our senior citizen center, and that's one thing that certainly with this pandemic, the people have suffered. Many of them are, I like how you put it, no tech. Many of them are no tech, and their whole lives are both, you know, social. They get their food, they have their socialization, you know, that's their lives. The closing of our senior center, we do pass out food every day, but the closing of our senior center has affected, you know, all of their lives. And that's where we would teach them about elder abuse and being, you know, the scams that are out there that prey on seniors, and, you know, other types of things. But training and other things is where, that's the center where we have just, you know, given that kind of help to the community.
could you speculate that all of this this COVID thing, all of these restrictions will be over with within the next 3 to 4 months? Some people are guessing another 12 months.
You know, I like to be hopeful because I don't want to be pessimistic about everything. I'm just discouraged that we're going in the wrong direction in terms of our numbers. And I fear, and, you know, we've been putting out message after message during this holiday season where people tend to get together. They want to get together because we're social people. We can't help it. But I fear that this may give us a little bit of setback for the next couple of months. But we're all very hopeful for the vaccines. And if they start distributing them next year, hoping by, you know, maybe mid next year, we'll start to be on, you know, for end of first quarter, second quarter, start to be on the road to recovery. Got to be hopeful. Can't lose that hope.
So I have another information from you. I want, and that, you know, how many people in Santa Clara are you responsible for? Number one, and then number two is that I have observed a little bit of city structure. A mayor is there, then city manager, and police is also there. And so what powers you have, and what roles and responsibilities can you take for which people can come to you directly?
So I'm the only elected official in the city that's elected by the entire city. We're in districts, I think similar to Fremont. We're in districts in Santa Clara. We have 6 districts, 6 district council members. So I'm responsible. We have about close to 130,000 people, probably more when we get the new census numbers. That was, you know, a few years ago. So about 130,000 people I'm responsible for. we have a city manager mayor form of government. So the city manager runs the day-to-day operations of the city. And so the city manager is hired and fired by the city council. So and the city attorney. We hire and fire two administrators as city manager and city attorney. We're a unique community in Santa Clara. We're the only city in the state of California that elects their police chief. So I think that a lot of people said we're outdated. Why do you like the police chief? Typically the city manager or the mayor, somebody else appoints the police chief. But I think based on what's happening in the world now, I think having our police chief being directly accountable to the 130,000 residents in Santa Clara is very beneficial. So we just in November elected a new police chief. And it's worked out well for our city because they are directly accountable to the residents.
Most of the time, if they have problems, so the person to go to is like mayor's department, or?
Yes, we're we pride ourselves. We're a city, we're a medium-sized city that has big city assets, right? We have a theme park and a stadium and a convention center. We own our own electric utility, which is also a different type of a business for us. It's $1 billion electric utility called Silicon Valley Power. So I'm going to give a little plug here. Our rates are about 30% less than PG&E. So that's why residents love living in Santa Clara and our businesses love locating here. But sitting as a city council, we're also responsible for our electric utility. Of course, we have Levi Stadium and other things, but yet, and maybe you picked up on it, Doctor, we're a small town. We're a small town. We're small town, people. You could walk, normally I would tell you under different circumstances, you can walk right into City Hall and, come knock on the mayor's office if I'm there, because it's a part-time job. Let me remind everyone, this is a part-time job, believe it or not. Yeah, I know. I have to have I call it a real job, another job. It's a part-time job, but you could typically, or just call up and say, hey, I'd like to see the mayor. I want to come, visit, I have this issue. And I'll talk to you. I'll call you back. It may take a day or two because again, part-time job, but I'll call you back. I'll talk to you. You can walk in the city manager's office. We try to keep as best that we can a small town connectability with our residents as the best that we can. So in Santa Clara, we almost have the best of both worlds. We have our very high-tech area, big, multi-billion-dollar companies, similar to your city, multi-billion-dollar companies. And then we have our downtown area. Our residents love our farmers market and they like to hang out together at Central Park to watch the fireworks of 4th of July. And we're a small town, but, with big city Silicon Valley assets.
That's what, when you told this first time, like I said, oh, really? Because, same for Fremont. If you look at what is the number one job producing unit in Fremont, that's manufacturing. And nobody can believe it because people think it is all IT everywhere.
Right. It's
right?
not.
Yeah. And then same Santa Clara is a small town. And nobody will believe it looking at all the big giants, big buildings over there, right?
Right. They wouldn't. And the fact we have Santa Clara University, which is a very prestigious university that is growing unbelievably. And we have our wonderful Mission College, our community college that is really helping with our workforce issues and helping people that, that can't get to a 4-year college. They're training them there. They have a wonderful hospitality department, a wonderful IT, department, educational department. So they're training people directly for the workforce to stay in, in this area. So we try to, there's something for everyone in our city. It's really, it's a great city. If it has something for everyone. And, we're not perfect, just like anyone, we have budget issues and other things, but but we're still a wonderful place to live. It's a wonderful place to live.
Can I ask you a personal question, not private personal, but as a woman, how did you overcome challenges, and what message do you have for other women?
Well, I've been in politics for a while. I'm the fourth elected woman in the city of Santa Clara. So going back, it's been a very male dominated organization. I'm not going to lie, there are a lot of challenges in being a woman and being a woman leader, and the way that I'm treated and talked about, and especially when I get tough and strong. I'm described a little bit differently by some people that are, maybe not feeling my vibe, I guess. They believe I'm, a little too much. If I was, I've seen the male mayors that we have that have been, lauded and applauded for, taking, strong leadership positions. But I feel like I don't let that, cacophony really derail me from my goal of what I'm trying to do for our residents and for helping people and doing the right thing for my city. Because as you know, anytime you try to be an effective leader and actually get things done, there's a lot of noise out there, a lot of noise, and I sound it out. I really do, because when I was elected, from the first time I was elected, I said, it's a great job to be an elected official, but I'm not coming in there to, cut ribbons and kiss babies. I mean, that's fun. Believe me, it's fun. That's probably the nice part of things. But I came in to get things done for a reason, to make a difference and to help people, to leave it better than when I started. And maybe that sounds a little too simplistic, but I don't want to waste this position, and I don't want to waste time doing nothing. So, and I've seen so many politicians in my day, they get along just fine. They don't do much, they just react to things. And they, they're fine. They serve their communities well and other things. But I didn't want to be that person. I wanted to be someone who would come in and, where young girls could look at me and say, hey, I can do that too. And it's okay, even though there's a lot of criticism and there's a lot of, finger pointing and other things. At the end of the day, she got something done and helped. So again, drown out, mute the noise out there. If you have, a mission, don't let people derail you from what the good you're trying to do. Because we, as women, you all know, we have to work harder. We have to work harder. We have to work smarter. We have to be more strategic, to navigate, and to make sure everybody feels good at the end of the day. But we know that because we do that every day in our lives.
Of course.
Multitask. I have another job. I have a small business that I own. I have 3 children. We just have to get things done. We get things
done. Are you still doing real estate?
Yes, I have. We have our family-owned business, but let me tell you, since I've been mayor, my business has suffered. I'm not going to lie. It's because, especially with all the issues going on in the city and during the pandemic and other things, I'm just almost busier than I was before in my mayor job. Helping, with all the issues and responding quickly. So my business has taken a little bit of a backseat, but yeah, I have 2 kids in college, one on his way to college. So yeah, I have to work.
Right.
I have to work.
So because I was listening to you, and if we look at the journey from a young girl to a professional established leader, and what will you say that you need a mentor on the way, or you need family support, or you need family self-conviction or all of them? What is the key factor?
I think it's really all those things, doctor. I grew up in Santa Clara, and my father was a city council member, and he was actually the first elected mayor in the city of Santa Clara. So he was my role model in terms of community service from a young age. And I was very fortunate when I was elected in 2018. He was I was fortunate he was able to swear me in. He was
Oh,
elected 50 years earlier and then was able to swear me in. He's still alive and he was able to swear me in. So that was really something for me. But certainly politics were different back then. They did things very, very much differently. Boy, do I have stories. But I think that, but seeing that and seeing that he dedicated his life to the community. And so my sisters are teachers, my brother's in real estate with me. And just from college, I ended up being on the Parks and Recreation Commission, and I started there. But between my father, my family, my husband, I had a mentor. It was the first woman planning commissioner in Santa Clara. Her name's Emmy Moore Minister. I looked at her, how strong she was. And when she chaired the planning commission, I was still in college, but she chaired the planning commission and she really took control of all the guys up there and was very well respected, but she was a respectful person to people that came forward. I saw that you could still be respectful to everybody, but still have, your convictions of what you believe in and still get things done. So I had some pretty great role models. And I remember the first woman who was elected to Santa Clara City Council, her name was Orly Street. And I was thinking of running for office, and she sat down with me and she said, Lisa, if you really want to be in office, she says, you have to remember knowledge is power. And if you're knowledgeable about, all the situations going on in the city of Santa Clara, that will help you so much. So she told me, and I'll never forget this, read the paper every day, read the paper, cover to cover. Well, papers are different now, but she said, keep yourself informed because you really, you need to know. So I've had some pretty good role models, I think, along the way.
very nice. Because I think that is one piece which is missing these days, because there are so many role models available and you don't know who to pick. And mostly Google has become the role model, right? Search, find, answer, and you're done with it, right?
Right. And in my position in politics has taken, I think, a turn for the worse in the last, several years, where there's been a huge loss of respect, and for people just speaking out with sometimes vile and horrible comments, and people get very brave behind the computer when they're
Exactly.
doing things. And I'm not seeing this level of problems for quite a while. And so it's quite disturbing when you have that kind of sometimes real nastiness going on, and people feeling free to do that and feeling like it's okay. And I just don't think that's how you get things done. And I know it really comes from the top a lot of times with what's going on, nationally, and all these other things have really brought itself down to the level of local levels as well.
Yeah, head of the family counts,
Right.
the way he operates, and other people start operating. They think this is the new norm, right?
Yeah, they think it's a new norm, and they think it's okay.
It's okay, yeah.
That it's okay. And I mean, I wasn't brought up that way, and it's there's just a lot of disrespect. And I think that I just feel like, we could be so much more effective with each other,
Right.
if we just communicate in a more civil fashion. But yeah.
I share what you're saying, because seeing the things going in one direction so fast that I started telling whenever I talk, in my times, right, in old times, as if I have grown too old and there's a generation gap, right? So things
Right.
change drastically.
Right. But I have, my kids are, I'm an older mom, but my kids are, they're the generation, like, I don't know, XYZ, they're in, high school and college. And I have hope for them because I think it's a really super smart generation.
Mm.
And they're very aware of, all the climate issues and things that, I never thought about at that age. And I think a lot of them do have hope for the future. And I think as our world evolves and changes, that, we're bringing up a really good and informed generation.
Thank you very much. We are very right in picking you and talking to you because we do need such a solid example where people can learn by looking at example rather than reading more about things. So I will pass on this message on Facebook and also promote in other groups which are in Santa Clara. And then I will also encourage people to work with city on the volunteer basis, whatever best they can do, at least passing out the information and putting people together. And if any other message you want to give to your community, you're welcome to do that.
I just want to say that, we're all in this together, and the more that we help each other, the faster we're going to get through this. And if people need help in any way, shape, or form, please reach out to the city. If we haven't reached out to you yet, please reach out to us. Call my office directly, the mayor's office, City of Santa Clara, 615-2250, area code 408-615-2250. And we will help, whatever way we can. And we are going to get through this. There is light at the end of this tunnel. And everybody, please be careful and have a safe and happy holiday season. But remember, 6 feet, masks, everything else. We will get through this.
Amen.
Thank you so much, Mayor Lisa Gillmore, Mayor of Santa Clara, California. It's an honor to have you.
It was an honor to be here.
Thank you. Have a happy turkey.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Bye.